So you are a place of sanctuary where people are actively discouraged from reporting illegal migrants. What kind of strain is this having? You know, what kind of cost are we talking about here financially to the state, to the people?
It has cost the city of Denver in particular, set aside any surrounding areas, 33 million American dollars so far, and they've been recouped less than half of that from the state and federal governments, which is a travesty because, of course, this is, number one, a crisis at the southern border where you have such a massive influx of people coming across illegally because it's so porous, because the security is not there. So it's a failure of the federal government. And then the reason why you have some governors, Republican governors, for example, like down in Texas, and different organizations sending these migrants to cities like Denver, or they're going to Chicago, New York City, some others, is because oftentimes they are these sanctuary cities. So there's sort of a political point that some of them are trying to prove by saying, okay, you're a sanctuary, you're welcoming these people, so have at it.
Yeah, 100%. And there are voices over here in the UK saying very similar stuff. If you elect your local member of parliament into that building that people will be able to see behind me on my screen here, and that member of parliament backs a policy that is essentially open borders, that doesn't believe in illegal immigration, then why don't you have all the illegal immigrants? And that is something that I know a lot of people over here in the UK are getting behind. Is that something that you think would make sense, despite the fact that where you are, literally, it would negatively impact you, of course?
I mean, the bottom line is you need to secure the southern border. And really, Denver needs to change its status from being a sanctuary city. But one of the big problems, too, is a political matter. For example, the recently elected mayor of Denver, Mayor Michael Johnston, has an emphasis that he's got on homelessness. We have a massive crisis of homelessness that's happening in Denver. And he said, I want to get 1,000 people off the streets that are living in encampments and tents, off the streets and into housing. And so there have been a number of long-term hotels that have been set aside in the city of Denver with the intention of providing housing for homeless people, but also for the migrant. And so there's actually an issue where his policy approach of we want to provide housing for homeless people is running up against housing for migrants. I'll give you one quick example. This is the kind of lunacy that we're dealing with right now in Colorado and across the country. You have the mayor of Denver saying, okay, I've got this facility that's currently housing these illegal immigrants, and I want to turn this hotel into a place for homeless people to be housed so he can achieve this 1,000 homeless person goal. But what that means is he's got to kick out the migrant. Well, then in neighboring city of Aurora, the third largest city in Colorado, right bordering Denver, there's a hotel that's been housing homeless people. That's long-term hotel. And he said, we're moving illegal immigrants to this hotel, kicking out the homeless people from there so that he can house the migrants in this neighboring city without agreement with the city council in Aurora. It is just mind-boggling, and they're not figuring it out, and also struggling with the resources financially at the same time.
You know what? It is actually quite comforting to me to find out that your politicians are as stupid as our politicians when it comes to that stuff.